Welcome back, MTN Giants podcast, week 3 reaction to a 22-9 home opener loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. I guess it's not too much of a surprise. I would have been pretty shocked if they beat the Chiefs. I know this is not the same Chiefs team that we've seen the past 5 to 7 years, but I still can't really envision Mahomes and Reed going 0-3, and that's what happened. The Giants so far through the first 3 weeks have given us everything. They've given us the week 1 game where kind of felt like you were in it, but you also knew they were probably not going to win. They gave you week 2 where, oh my God, we're up with like 40 seconds to go. We might win this game. They don't win the game. Then you have this one where not really a blowout per se, but you score under 10 points. Your kicker's hurt before the game, which we'll get to that. I'm fed up with Graham Gano. Too many mistakes. Shane Bowen, I still don't know what the guy does. And the offense looked terrible. I mean, I at least thought maybe after last week in week 2, you score 37 points, you look competent. Not competent. They look very good offensively last week, but it was unsustainable. I mean, the amount of deep shots and deep completions they had, it's not something you see every day. That was not a game that you can replicate probably the rest of the year. But I thought maybe they figured some things out, and then this game, their offense kind of reverted back to what we saw week 1. But I think after what we've seen the first 3 weeks, I think a lot of it, pretty much all of it, is that the Cowboys probably have the worst defense in the NFL. I mean, Caleb Williams, super talented quarterback, but he looked incredible today against Dallas. And everyone that's played Dallas so far has destroyed their defense. And yeah, it's not much of a surprise. So I think looking at it now with 3 games of a sample size, I feel like last week's offensive performance is more of Matt Eberflus and the Dallas Cowboy defense being garbage and not the Giants figuring things out, which is unfortunate because we were hoping they might have figured some things out. But now we lean more towards, all right, when's Jackson Dart going to play? Because that's inevitably coming sooner than later. And when will the Giants win their first game? When is Brian Daboll going to get fired? Because that feels inevitable too. So there's a lot of big picture stuff to cover, and we'll get to that. I took a ton of notes this game because this was an island game. Got to focus 100% on it, and there was a lot of bad stuff, so we'll talk about it. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy, of course. Leave a like, subscribe, and let's get into it. And I also wanted to say, big picture-wise, it's just another season of the year being over before we even hit October, which has just been so common with this organization since 2017. I had this tweet because I said to myself, when I kind of realized sometime in the third quarter, when I started to realize they're going to lose this game, I went back and looked at the Giants' record after the first 3 games since 2017, and they have started 0-3 or 1-2 in every season but one, which was 2022, when they started 2-1. So that's 9 seasons since 2017, and they have been below 500 in 8 of those seasons. So 2-1 was the best. We couldn't get a 3-0, but it's just, that's the life of a Giants fan. It's like by the end of September, you pretty much know you're out of it. And then just to piss us off, they'll get these what I call meaningless wins in November, December to screw you out of a better draft pick, which hopefully with Jackson Dart on the roster, and I hope he ends up being a tremendous franchise quarterback, hopefully the falling down the draft order thing doesn't really hurt us too much this year, because if Jackson Dart comes in and looks great, I'm not going to care as much that we lose out on a top 3 pick. But anyway, that's a whole different conversation. So for the Giants offense in this game, it was mostly ugly. They had 281 offensive yards, 4.6 yards per play, scored the 1 offensive touchdown with Cam Skattebo, I got to get his name right. I always say Skattebo, who looked really good. I mean, I know Tyrone Tracy got the start technically, and he left the game injured. And Tyrone Tracy, the first drive at least, he was pretty much getting the ball every single play. I think he touched the ball on the first 5 plays. It was 4 runs. He had 1 reception as well. But after the injury, Cam Skattebo came in, 10 carries, 60 yards, 6 a carry obviously, 1 touchdown, 13-yard longest run, and he did some work as a receiver as well. So I liked what I saw from Skattebo. He definitely energized the crowd, and you feel like every time he touches the ball, I don't think he necessarily is going to house it every time he touches the ball. He's not like a Chris Johnson type player at running back, but he's more of a how many guys is he going to throw off of him, and is he going to run somebody over? And I think on his first carry or his first catch, whatever it was, he not really ran over Nick Bolton, but he trucked him, did a spin move out of it, and picked up 11 yards or something on that play. So he did some nice things, Cam Skattebo, and we'll see how bad this injury is for Tyrone Tracy. He did not return. I think it was a shoulder, elbow, something like that. He went down and just pointed to like his tricep area. I don't know what happened there, but if he's out for an extended period, of course it will be a lot of Skattebo, a little bit of Devin Singletary, who I don't want to say he's completely washed Singletary, but not somebody I look forward to watching at this point when he runs with the ball. Anyway, to Russell Wilson, 18 of 32, 160 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. His longest pass was for 26 yards, sacked twice. It was not good enough. I mean, the week 1 performance, I felt like there was a little bit of good, but mostly underwhelming out of Russ. And then week 2 happens, and he's completing all these deep balls, looking like Seattle version of Russell Wilson. But in this game, you can tell that the Chiefs did their homework. They watched that game, I'm sure a ton of tape from the Giants game last week, and they said, let's play a lot of too high safeties, and let's not let Malik Nabers beat us, because Malik Nabers did not catch a pass until either the very late third quarter or early fourth quarter, which is unacceptable in my mind. I don't know how you take that guy, 6th overall, whatever it was, I think it was 6th overall that year, and you don't give him a single touch until the fourth quarter. And even Chris Collinsworth said, like, why not give the guy a jet sweep or something, just like manufacture a touch in his direction. We know Malik Nabers doesn't react well when he's not involved in the offense, and he clearly looked fed up tonight, and I understand it. Even when the ball was thrown in his direction, there were some pretty crappy passes. I remember that one that was thrown to the back corner of the end zone, top of the screen, when the Giants were going right to left. Russell Wilson should have thrown that ball earlier, and he gave his guy a chance, but he left it too late, and it was intercepted. So, I mean, yeah, Malik Nabers probably could have made a better effort on that 50-50 ball. It was one-on-one, but if you're Russell Wilson, you have to let that go earlier, give your guy a chance. So I like taking a shot one-on-one when you're Malik Nabers and you're that good, but if you're Russell Wilson, you got to throw that earlier. So that was the issue. But Russ was underwhelming, I would say. He had a couple interceptions that were just awful. The first one to Wan'Dale, it's like, what went through your mind there? He's running like a deep post or something, and it was basically undercut and intercepted. It's like, this is a 5'9" guy, and you're throwing it into like double or triple coverage. I don't know what. I think the broadcast said this, and I agree. It felt like Russell Wilson would get impatient at times and would just try to force the issue, which part of me likes, because you do want to keep a defense honest and you want to show them, hey, we will throw the ball deep if you give us a chance. But in certain situations, Russ was just forcing it. And the first interception was a great example of that. Like, don't throw that ball. So that happened. And I'm not sure, like, I feel like anything can happen at this point. Like, we're just fresh off the game. It ended 10, 20 minutes ago. I don't see any of the quotes or anything, but I wouldn't be shocked if Russ is benched tomorrow. It wouldn't be too surprising. But even like Brian Daboll, could he be fired tomorrow? I don't think he will. But would it be the most shocking thing? Probably not. I feel like everything's kind of up for grabs at this point. So, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. I think it's going to be like, I can't see the Giants firing Brian Daboll before giving Jackson Dart a chance. That would be really dumb in my opinion, because what if Jackson Dart and Brian Daboll end up being a great duo? Like, that should definitely wait. But can I see Russell Wilson getting benched tomorrow or Tuesday? I mean, yeah, I probably can. So we're going to see what happens. But they also had that tweet from Adam Schefter, which was a little over a week ago, saying that the Giants want to be patient with Russell Wilson. So he had 3 games so far. 2 looked really bad. 1 looked really, really good. So how do they want to play it? I don't know. So we'll see. I know the fans were chanting, "We want Dart" at the game today at MetLife. Not sure how much that factors into decisions. I feel like with an owner like John Mara, it sometimes does factor into decisions. So we're going to see how it plays out. But yeah, underwhelming game from Russ. I talked about Skattebo. He looked really good. Receiving wise, I mean, Skattebo had 6 catches for 61 yards, which led the team. So he was really the whole offense in this game. And it made sense based on how the Chiefs were playing them. Of course, Skattebo is not a guy who's going to catch a 50-yard deep ball. He's a guy who stays close to the line of scrimmage, and that's what the Chiefs were giving them. So the only hope was to give Scadaboo the ball and see how many tackles he can break and can they keep moving the sticks, and at least they took advantage of that for the most part. Darius Slayton got more involved targets-wise, had 4 catches on 4 targets. Malik Nabers, 7 targets, which is nice to see, but I feel like at least 3 of those were not catchable. So they go down as targets, but not catchable ones. 2 catches for 13 yards. I saw this Jordan Ronan tweet. It just came up on my phone. Malik Nabers had 2 catches, which was on 7 targets. First career game with less than 4 receptions. Wow. So he cut that in half. And yeah, 2 catches for a guy like that is just not good enough. For a guy you took 6th overall, you have to get the ball in his hands more often. And that was just not it. We saw Theo Johnson have that one nice catch, and he kept staying on his feet, and he kept I think the offensive lineman got involved and they were pushing him for a first down. It might have been 2nd and short, but nonetheless, it was a good effort. We saw Chris Manhertz catch 1 for 7 yards. Some small stuff in there. Jalen Hyatt got a target. I do not recall seeing that. Maybe that was at the end, but I do not remember that. Tyrone Tracy had a couple of short catches early. But obviously, with Russell Wilson throwing for 160 yards, there wasn't much receiver production. Last week we had 2 guys with over 150 receiving yards, I think it was. And this week, the quarterback barely reached 160 passing yards. It's you can't make it up. So the Giants offense did a complete 180. I do want to talk about the offensive line as well, because that's part of the offense. Andrew Thomas was playing. Finally, it was nice to see him out there. He played for the first, 1.5 quarters, and then he just wasn't playing one series. They show him on the bench, smiling, laughing. I'm like, what is going on here? What's funny? What's going on here? And he's not playing. They put in Marcus Bowe, who I think immediately gave up, not a sack. I think it was a pressure on that play. So Marcus Bowe, he had his ups and downs this game. I'll put it that way. But so out of left tackle, you had 2 guys. Thomas looked good out there. They were showing that replay of him, and he looked fine, but he obviously, I guess, wasn't healthy. Maybe there was a snap count that I'm not aware of, but why would you even activate him and play him if he wasn't healthy to play a full game? That just feels dumb. So I'm not sure what happened there. I hope he's fine. I hope there's no re-injury. Of course, that's a serious injury, the Liz Frank foot injury. So I'm not sure what happened. I hope he's fine. John Runyon, I think, had that one bad moment. He led up a sack to Chris Jones, I think it was. Not sure. I don't think I heard much from JMS tonight. I heard one good thing from him on the first drive. He opened up a lane for somebody. GVR. I think Illuminor had a false start on the final drive, so nothing really there for the most part. So offensive line-wise, I feel like it wasn't too bad. But the whole left tackle situation is weird. I'm not sure what happened to Thomas. We'll find out more with the quotes that come out tonight. I'll look them up on Twitter before I sign off here just to keep this up to date. But yeah, I'm not sure what happened. It was weird. For the defensive side of the ball, it felt like for a bit they were doing some good things, and it's the Chiefs offense in 2025. They're throwing out Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, guys that were good in 2020, 2021, but not necessarily the best guys in 2025. Even Travis Kelce, I hate to slander his name, but he's not the same guy he was even 2-3 years ago. But defensively, they had some solid moments. I really do think the turning point for this defense was the play when, I think it was the first play, because I'm pretty sure he did this twice, but when Mahomes had that backwards pass to Pacheco, who for some reason ran backwards on that play. I don't know what the hell Pacheco was doing there, but it was a fumble, and Mahomes saw it the whole time, and he essentially ripped the ball out of Bobby Okereke's hands, which I don't know how that happens if you're Bobby Okereke. But if Okereke had just dove on that ball and the Giants took over at the Chiefs' 8-yard line, I feel like this could have been a different game. I really felt like that was the turning point right there. I put in my group chat that I think that pretty much would lose them the game. Yeah, I wrote down when it happened. Okereke not diving on that ball is going to cost them the game at 9:41 p.m. I don't know what time it actually happened at, whatever. But point is, I was like, that was their chance. Sometimes great teams give you a chance to get in a game, and that was the Giants' chance right there. We are handing you a gift. Take over inside of the 10. Okereke just dive on the ball. He did not dive on the ball. He tried to scoop it, tried to score. And Mahomes, I know Collinsworth was sucking him off the entire night, but I have to say, that was a very impressive play by Patrick Mahomes. I don't want to sound like Collinsworth, but I've never really seen a quarterback just rip a ball from a linebacker like that. And when I was watching it on TV, I'm like, did he just get that back? Like, how did that just happen? I'm thinking like, oh my God, the Giants just got a fumble and took over inside the 10. And then you see Mahomes laying with the ball. It's like, how did this happen? So I thought that was a massive turning point in this game, because if the Giants recover that fumble, which I believe Dane Belton had a shot at it. It kind of like hit his calf or something, and then Okereke easily could have got it, but decided to try and scoop and score. That was not it. So that, I think, was the turning point in the game. Individually, I mean, they played a lot of Abdul Carter at inside linebacker. I know they're kind of thin on bodies there at this point, but it's not what you drafted them for. I'm not really sure what's going on there. I guess I'd rather have him on the field than not have him on the field. So there is that, but he's not making the impact that he should be making as if he was an edge rusher. I feel like that's what you drafted him to do, and they're not doing it. And I will say, Kayvon Thibodeaux playing very well this year and getting a lot of pressures, it is throwing a bit of a wrench in that, because if Kayvon was looking the way he did last year and he just wasn't making enough of an impact, it would give you a reason to want to play Abdul Carter at edge. But now that he's playing well consistently, it's like, all right, well, we can't really take out Brian Burns or Kayvon, so you just kind of have to put Abdul Carter at inside linebacker for now. It's not what you want. But I personally, I guess I'd rather have Abdul Carter playing than not playing, is how I'm putting it, because I would much rather trust Abdul Carter playing linebacker than somebody like Darius Muasau, or who was it, Swayze Bosman tonight? Like, who the hell is that? I don't even know. Like, I trust I trust Abdul Carter much more over those guys. So I guess I'm fine with it, but it's kind of disappointing that they can't play Abdul Carter at his natural position. Drew Phillips definitely had the definition of an up and down game. There were a few plays where it's like, oh, that was an awesome pass breakup, great coverage. And then at some point you're like, Drew, like we can't do the whole defensive holding thing. We can't allow that to happen. So we saw some dumb things, but we also saw some very good things out of Drew Phillips. I thought Paulson Adebo, it wasn't too bad. He let up like a couple of short passes on third downs that I wasn't thrilled about. But part of that could be the defensive coordinator, like having these guys play off 10 yards when the Chiefs only need 3 yards to get, which it just brings me back to James Bettcher. It feels like the James Bettcher defense all over again. So that part annoys me. But that, unfortunately, is what we get with Shane Bowen. For Brian Burns, he had an injury scare, but he came in after a few plays. He looked really good. He had a sack and just was a constant disruptor in this game, and he was consistently beating his man. I know it's a rookie over there in Josh Simmons, but still, he was looking very good out there. So Brian Burns, I mean, I know they traded a lot to get him and they pay him a lot, but he's been a difference maker. So I have to say, like, so far that's been worth it. Okereke, I didn't notice anything too bad. He had a nice, I don't know if it was a tackle for a loss, but he had that great run stop on Pacheco, which went for no gain, I think sometime in the fourth quarter, maybe late third quarter. But I didn't see anything too bad out of Okereke. I mean, maybe if you go back and watch the tape, you'll be like, all right, he was too slow there. He probably should have caught that guy. But I feel like from watching it, just from the broadcast view, it wasn't that bad of a game out of him, and I definitely have seen some bad moments from Okereke this year, but I feel like in this game he wasn't that bad. Tyler Nubin, he made a couple of nice plays. I think he had a nice tackle for loss. It might have been on like a Noah Gray screen, like a misdirection screen. I'll go over the plays in a bit that I wrote down on my phone, but Nubin had a couple nice moments. He might have had one bad moment too, but I'll go over that stuff in a second. Javon Holland, pretty quiet game. Cordell Flott, quiet game, but he should have allowed a touchdown late in the game, but Tyquan Thornton dropped that ball, which it looked like he scored, and then they showed the replay. The ball clearly hit the ground. The replay assist, whatever, I don't even know where they sit. It's like I'm looking up like, oh, replay assist, where the hell are they? I don't know, but I guess they said to the referees, like, no, he dropped the ball, so they brought that back. But once again, for the defense as a whole, there was nothing great, nothing creative, nothing where I'm like, oh, Shane Bowen, that was great, just regular vanilla, oh, let's play cover 2, cover 3 all game and keep everything in front of us. And, for the most part, they kept things in front of them, but they also had their big mistakes. They had the big pass interference before halftime, which I forget who that was. It might have been Drew Phillips. I'll go over that in a second. Brian Daboll quote, not good enough. From Brian Daboll after tonight's loss, he said he would be booing too. It's like, I saw some fans saying that, like, Brian Daboll looks like he wants out. I'm not sure about all that. Like, this guy is a head coach of an NFL team, one of 32 spots in the NFL. Like I don't know if he wants out per se. I'm sure he's frustrated, and I think if it were up to him, like I think he would play Jackson Dart right now. I don't necessarily think he wants to play Russell Wilson. I'm just speculating here, but we know based on the clips we've seen. I remember the first day Jackson Dart came into the Giants facility, how excited Brian Daboll was. I think if it were up to Daboll, he would play Jackson Dart right now. I think part of that could be frustrating Brian Daboll, and it might be an order from Joe Schoen or John Mara. And John Mara, of course, he's going to go back to what he used to do. He knows about the Kurt Warner thing and him playing half a year. Like, I'm sure they want to give Russell Wilson a certain amount of games, and Brian Daboll may be on a different page than what Joe Schoen and John Mara want. Like, Joe Schoen even might be saying, let's give Russell Wilson X amount of games, no matter how it goes. Let's give Russ the first 7-8 games. And maybe Brian Daboll's like, F that. I want to play Jackson Dart. So, like, that could be something that's going on. I'm not sure. I'm speculating. I'm not a fly on the wall at the Giants facility. I wish I was sometimes, but that's me speculating, so that could be part of it. All right, time for the notes section of the video. I feel like I should give this a name, like Mike's notes from the game. I don't know, there's got to be a better name for it, but I of course take notes during the game. There was a tweet I just saw from Giants Videos, SNY Giants, that the Giants have lost 14 of their past 15 games in total, dating back to last year. So aside from that one Colts win against Joe Flacco, when Drew Lock had a top, I think, 7 quarterback performance of all time based on the numbers, aside from that one game, the Giants have lost 14 out of 15. Wow. So it started with Graham Gano being questionable with a groin injury, and he was legitimately hurt. I don't want to make it sound like, oh, Graham Gano was not playing. I made a joke that his name should be Graham Gano. I don't feel like playing today. But no, he was actually hurt. You can see him like wincing after every kick, basically. He came in for that one short field goal. So clearly he felt good enough to make the short ones, but not the long ones. They attempted a long field goal. I don't know how long it was, but they attempted something over like 35 yards with Jamie Gillen, or it might have been an extra point now that I'm trying to remember it. Yeah, I think it was the extra point after the Scattaboo touchdown, and it got blocked, but I feel like he was going to miss it anyway. It looked like it was just off from the get-go. But clearly Gano was healthy enough for short field goals, but when you took it past 30 yards or something, it was not going to happen. My one friend took a good video of it, and you can still see him like wincing in pain after he was doing his warm-ups out of halftime. Yeah, I'm watching the video now. It's Gano out of halftime. My friend Dylan took the video. Shout out to Dylan. But you can see, like, even after he does his follow-through on the kick, like, he takes a step forward and he's like, like, you just know he's definitely in pain. So I don't want to be like, oh, Graham Gano doesn't want to play. No, it's not that. But at the same time, it's frustrating. This didn't cost the Giants the game. Graham Gano missing, they would have lost anyway. But last year absolutely cost the Giants the game against the Commanders. Like, if Gano played in that game, the Giants win against the Commanders. Who knows what could have happened after that? I think that was like week 2 or something early in the season. Tonight, yeah, it's embarrassing to have a kicker ruled out 2 years in a row before the freaking game even started. Well, I think he got hurt on the opening kickoff last year. So anyway, basically missed the entire game 2 years in a row. And at this point, Gano is 37, 38. You might have to get younger and get someone a bit more reliable. I know Younghoe Koo is out there who he might not be reliable making kicks wise, but at least he's reliable as in like he'll play. So you could do that if you're the Giants and could bring in some competition or something. I like Graham Gano, but he just isn't available enough, and it's frustrating. The Giants, of course, a couple years ago had that one section of the year, late in the year, when Gano was out, and they had like Randy Bullock kicking field goals. Mason Crosby was here for a bit, so you had that going on. But yeah, I like Graham Gano, but he's just not reliable enough. Anyway, for this game, Tyrone Tracy looked good to start out in the first quarter. Cam Scattaboo had that nice spin off of Nick Bolton, gained 11 yards. The Giants went for it on their first drive on a 4th and 3, and the pass got batted down by Nick Bolton. Turnover on downs, and part of that may have been because they didn't have a healthy kicker, or part of that might have been because it's only 4th and 3 or over the 50. I want to see where they were exactly. They were 4th and 3 on Kansas City's 28. So at that point, I understand going for it. Maybe some of us would have taken the points. I didn't mind going for it there. There was a point in the Cowboy game last week where I preferred them to take the points. They didn't. But in this case, it was 4th and 3. I'm like, just go for it. Like, I'm fine with that. Make the Chiefs go 72 yards, if my math's correct there, to go down the field. On the Chiefs' next drive, there was a big gain to Noah Gray. It would have been like a 25 yard gain, but Brian Burns caused a holding call on the left tackle Simmons. Brian Burns kind of dipped under him, and he had to basically hold his neck. So that took away a big gain. Juju Smith-Schuster had a nice catch for like 18 yards of yak. And I'm like, why are we allowing Juju Smith-Schuster to have any sort of yak in the year 2025? That annoyed me, but it was a great play design. It looked like it was going to go to the outside, and then there was a screen set up like underneath, and Juju was there with a couple of offensive linemen blocking for him, but I don't know. To allow Juju to do that, it just did not sit right with me. 3rd and 10, incomplete on a corner route. Drew Phillips had a pass breakup on Hollywood Brown. Then Harrison Butker doinks in a field goal from 54 yards because why not? Tyrone Tracy was then injured on a swing pass that brought in Scadaboo. He caught a 3rd and 5 screen pass, and that was the missed face mask call. I saw people tweeting that out. There was literally a video of a replay of Scadaboo getting face masked. It was not called, so the Giants had to punt, so that was just a missed call by the refs. Giants had the Chiefs in a 2nd and 18 on offense, and of course, the Giants, in typical fashion, there was a holding call or illegal contact on Drew Phillips, so just a dumb penalty to bail them out. Mahomes evaded the rush. They had that nice, I like that little counter they do when it shows you snap to throw, or like how long the quarterback stays in the pocket or even out of the pocket before throwing the ball. Mahomes was able to evade the rush for 6.87 seconds. Kayvon got there, Burns got there, but Mahomes, of course, being as great as he is, got out of it and found Juju Smith-Schuster for 27 yards. Tyler Nubin blew up the misdirection screen to Noah Gray. I talked about that before. Loss of 2. Mahomes ran for a first down, but there was an illegal formation on Jawaan Taylor, which happens all the time with Jawaan Taylor. Butker makes a 48-yard field goal, 6-0 KC. Russell Wilson tried taking a deep shot, but the corner blitz got there in time, so he kind of tipped the ball, and it wasn't a fumble per se, but it just was a deep, incomplete pass. I forget who was blocking it. It was a tight end, I'm pretty sure. It might have been Theo Johnson looking back on it. It was either him or it was Bellinger. Then Rush tried to go deep again. This was the play that was undercut for an interception by Chris Roldan-Wallace. I thought it was just a impatient move by Russ there to force that. It just wasn't, that's not the right guy. Like, I don't mind taking deep shots to Wan'Dale. We saw it work last week, but if you're taking a deep shot to Wan'Dale, that has to be like, he has to be separated by at least like 5 yards with the guy. Like, don't take deep shots to Wan'Dale in double coverage. It's probably not going to go well. So that was just something I'm not a fan of. Drew Phillips had a tackle for a loss on Travis Kelce in the flat. It was a screen pass to him, I believe it was. Or not even a screen pass. Like, just one of those quick, like, let's just swing it out to the receiver things. And Drew Phillips blew it up for a loss of 2. 3rd and 12, Brian Burns knocked down Jawaan Taylor with basically one hand. It forced a Mahomes incompletion. Butker missed a 40-yard field goal, so the Giants had that go their way. Russell Wilson had that really nice like floater pass to Scadaboo. It looked like Russell Wilson was going to take off and run, but then he like kind of just flipped a little pass over there to Scadaboo. He picked up 16 yards. There was illegal contact on the Chiefs defense anyway, so that was declined. There was an overthrow on the left sideline to Darius Slayton, but there was roughing the passer on George Karlaftis. It gave the Giants a first down. Then Chris Jones had a defensive holding call, which you don't see too often, but it did impact the play, and it allowed, I think, Nick Bolton to make a tackle. And then Scadaboo had the 13-yard touchdown, dives in, does a backflip. MetLife was lit there for a bit. 7-play, 70-yard drive, and then, of course, the extra point got blocked. Drew Phillips forces an incompletion to Noah Gray. I thought Drew Phillips did a nice job blocking, I guess defending tight ends in the passing game in this one. Mahomes had the backwards pass. Don't know how he recovered it once again, but Okereke, if he dives on that, the Giants take over inside the 10. He tries to pick it up and score. and that was just the wrong move. The Chiefs did a 3rd and 25 draw because why not? They gave up on that drive. The Giants took over at the Chiefs 41 with no timeouts left, but 1 minute, 11 seconds to go. This is when Andrew Thomas was not in the game. He must have been injured or the snap count was reached or something. And then right away, George Karlaftis on a bull rush got to Russell Wilson on a deep pass. It disrupted the pass. There was another Chiefs penalty. It was an off-ball face mask call on Noel Williams, a rookie. He had a face mask on Slayton, like just the second he came out of his break, and he was just like grabbing his face mask, so I'm not sure what happened there. Jalen Watson interception in the end zone. Russell Wilson had a one-on-one shot to Neighbors. He threw it late once again. I said this in the beginning of the video. If Russ throws that earlier, it probably gives Neighbors an actual chance to catch the ball. But at the same time, I thought Neighbors should have given better effort. I feel like he kind of gave up on it. So it was intercepted. The "We Want Dart" chance began at MetLife. Brian Burns tried to bat down a pass. He lands awkwardly. He walked off the field, thank God. Adebo had a pass breakup, near interception on Tyquan Thornton on a deep shot. He definitely should have picked that, I remember. I don't know what happened there. Actually, no, that was a different one I'm thinking of. No. So it was a deep shot to Thornton, like a post route, and he got there in time. It wasn't like a dropped interception, I shouldn't say that, but it was a good pass breakup by Adebo. Juju Smith-Schuster dropped an open pass over the middle, but the Giants committed illegal contact. It was Drew Phillips once again. So Drew Phillips, I feel like, played a good game, but had too many penalties, dumb penalties. This was a 3rd and 10. They dropped the pass, they bail you out, but then Drew Phillips just bails them out right back and gives them a first down. Mahomes ran around forever, 11.73 seconds he runs around. Drew Phillips commits pass interference on Hollywood Brown. This was the play when Mahomes was running. Abdul Carter had his hand on his jersey. Mahomes still got away from him, and he loads up and throws a deep ball to Hollywood Brown. Dumb pass interference with like 7 seconds to go, because even if Hollywood Brown catches that ball, I'm pretty sure the Chiefs had no timeouts left. Even if he catches that ball and just tackles him in bounds, which he would have because it was in the middle of the field, even if that was caught, the Chiefs would not have time to get to the line and get another play off. So that would have ran out the clock right there. So that pass interference on Drew Phillips was just very dumb. No awareness there. I don't like that. And Butker, of course, makes it from 28 yards, and it's 9-6 Kansas City at halftime. Mike Tirico said, "What an ugly half. What an ugly first half from both teams." It was a very ugly game in the first half. Third quarter, Mahomes had that rollout pass for 17 yards against Drew Phillips to Hollywood Brown. Abdul Carter had a tackle for loss on Pacheco from the inside linebacker position. It forced a 3rd and 3. Belton couldn't cover Travis Kelce on a zig route. He had a first down. Tyquan Thornton scores on a slant. It was really nice coverage by Drew Phillips. Like watching that from the broadcast view, because I think the way it was thrown, like the ball was kind of blocked by Drew Phillips' body. I thought for sure he got a hand in there. It was incomplete. Somehow Tyquan Thornton held on to that, caught a touchdown, made it 16-6 Kansas City. At that point, I'm thinking this one's probably over because the chances the Chiefs blow a 2-possession lead against this Giants team, highly unlikely. Russell Wilson ran up the middle for 14 yards on a 2nd and 10. There was still no sign of Andrew Thomas, I wrote down, so he was gone. John Runyon allowed a sack to Chris Jones. Then on 4th and 4 from their own 48, they decided to punt, and the fans boo. I probably would have went for it there because at that point I'm thinking, what do you have to lose? You're on the 48-yard line. You need 4 freaking yards. Like, I don't know what the analytics were saying, but at that point I was probably like, just go for it. Like, you have nothing to lose at this point. 3rd and 2 to Noah Gray on a whip route, like the same thing that Kelce did to Dane Belton a couple of possessions prior. But he picked up a first down against Paulson Adebo. He gained 10 yards. Tyquan Thornton didn't turn his head on a pass that, if he did turn his head, might have went for a touchdown. The Chiefs decided to punt on 4th and 1, which kind of surprised me, but I feel like at that point, they felt very in control of the game. Scadaboo picked up 21 yards on a check down. Theo Johnson had that nice catch where he had a pile of Chiefs on him and kept his feet moving for a near first down. Wandale made a great catch on the sidelines, but he was already out of bounds, so that was illegal touching. That got taken back. Russell took a 3rd and 6 shot to Neighbors on a post route. Fell incomplete. 2 guys got banged up on that play. The safety, Cook, and it was Neighbors got banged up as well. It might have been like a wrist hand thing. He walked off okay, came back in the game. Then there was a 4th and 6 to Wandale. It was pass interference. He caught it, and then he fumbled it, but due to the pass interference, the Giants kept the ball, so a new set of downs. The dart package happened. There was a read option to Scadaboo. He ran for 9 yards. Then on third down, Russell Wilson decides to run a read option. He has a 1-yard loss, and then Graham Gano comes in to make a 25-yard field goal. Makes it a 7-point game, 1-possession game, 16-9 at that point. The Chiefs had a 3rd and 6 on their next drive. This was a momentum killer in this game, like a low-key big play in this game. 3rd and 6, the MetLife crowd's into it, like the loudest they were all game basically, and Mahomes finds Tyquan Thornton for a 21-yard gain. So at that point, the Giants are down 7. The fans are like, we're going to get a 3 and out, get the ball back. But Tyquan Thornton, 21-yard gain, big killer in that one. Okereke had that nice tackle on Pacheco for no gain. Tyquan Thornton looked like he had a touchdown once again, did not survive the ground. It was Cordell Flott, got beat deep on that play, but the ball fell incomplete. But then, of course, on like the very next play, or it might have been 2 plays later, on 3rd and 10, Mahomes found Thornton for a gain of 33, down at the 1. It was like Mahomes' magic, basically. Rolling to his right, doesn't even set his feet, throws across his body, and finds Thornton for a gain of 33. It's like, how the hell does this happen? But that's what having a great quarterback does. Kareem Hunt scored on the next play. He did the throat slash celebration. Of course, he got a taunting penalty. So then the extra point was missed by Harrison Butker. Marcus Bowe gave up a sack to George Karlaftis. Russell Wilson found Wandale for a gain of 26. That was a tough catch because I remember Wandale took a pretty good hit on that one. So that was a good catch by him. Russell Wilson somehow in year 14 or 15, whatever the hell it is, he commits a intentional grounding out of the back of the end zone. The same thing Jaden Daniels did, but Jaden's in year 2 and he's like 24 years old, so I at least give him some leeway, but Russell Wilson cannot be making that mistake, so that was dumb. So this is the play that got Giants fans and myself really pissed off. It was 4th down. The Giants have to convert here or else the game's basically over. It was 4th down, and I've seen, I think, Bryce Young do this. I've seen Derek Carr do this, and I hate when quarterbacks do this. This is a do-or-die play, 4th down, and Russell Wilson doesn't even give a receiver a chance. He throws the ball out of the back of the end zone, and it's a turnover on downs. Like, doesn't even give one of his receivers a chance. I feel like when guys do that, it's to protect their stats because they see nobody open, they don't want the interception on their stats, and just throw it out of bounds. And rightfully, the Giants fans booed him off the field. I'm like, what the hell's going on there with Russell Wilson? Like, you're a veteran. Like, first off, you throw the ball out of bounds for an intentional grounding, which you can't do that in the first place as a veteran quarterback. And then on 4th and goal, you throw a ball 10 feet over the goalpost and don't give a receiver a chance. So that very much pissed me off. Adebo, he dropped an interception on a YOLO ball to Hollywood Brown, which I'm surprised the Chiefs even threw that. It was a 3rd down. I think the Giants might have been out of timeouts and they just took a deep shot and it was underthrown. Adebo should have caught it. So I don't know like what happened there, but he dropped it. Then the Giants get the ball back. There was a false start on John Runyon. First play out of the punt, basically. Like, first play of the possession, they have a false start. I'm like, you cannot make this shit up. So that was annoying. And that was pretty much it. So I thought, once again, I thought the game was lost when Okereke did not dive on that loose ball. And that's pretty much how it felt afterwards. And there was a big play, the 21-yard gain to Thornton on the 3rd and 6, right after the Giants had that field goal. That was a momentum killer in this game. Of course, the Mahomes 33-yard pass across his body to Thornton, that was a massive play. So I feel like those 3 plays right there changed the entire game, and the Giants' offense was very tough to watch. And basically, Brian Daboll's job hinges on Jackson Dart's performance over the next 2 to 3 months. I put that out on Twitter, because that's probably what's going to happen. Like, sadly, it's a lot of pressure on Jackson Dart, and I feel like Dart's the type of guy that can handle that pressure. He doesn't seem fazed about things. But I'm looking back now at this Russell Wilson possession where he threw the ball out of the end zone. So he has the 1st and goal, throws it out of the back of the end zone, does the quarterback draw, which that's not his call, or at least I don't think it is. 3rd and goal, he throws it well out of the end zone. And then on 4th and goal, I want to see how badly he threw this out of the end zone. Like, yeah, no one was catching that ball. So, like, 3 plays out of the 4, he throws the ball out of the back of the end zone, uncatchable, and then the 1 play he didn't do it, it was a quarterback draw for, like, 3 yards. You just can't have that. Like, that was very annoying. So, Brian Daboll didn't really say much at his presser, apparently, just saying stuff like not good enough. I do want to see what Andrew Thomas's status is before getting off here. Okay, so here's a tweet from Dan Salamone. He said that the plan, and I saw Jordan Rodon confirm this as well, that the plan was to give Andrew Thomas 25 plays. I just don't get that. I understand he hasn't played football in a long time, but it was so random. Like, play him to halftime maybe? Because they took him out the drive right before halftime. Like, just let him play a half. Like, why do we have to have a specific number like it's a pitcher in baseball? Can't go more than 95 pitches, God forbid. It's like, this is football, and is playing an extra 4 snaps going to aggravate his foot injury? Like, I just don't get the logic there. I really don't. Like, if they were in the middle of a drive where they're just going to run Andrew Thomas off the field and put Marcus Bowe in the game, I just don't get that. Like, I understand I'm not a doctor and they know more than me, but just looking at it logically, I'm like, how does taking him out the drive before halftime make any sort of sense? I don't really get that. But anyway, Marcus Bowe had his moments where he looked like a 5th-round rookie, but he also played well for some other plays, so I wasn't like too disappointed. But at least Andrew Thomas is not re-injured. That's the good news. But the bad news is the Giants still suck, and the season's over before September ends once again. And going forward, they are going to play... Oh, I forgot they're playing the Chargers next. I thought they were playing the Saints next, and I'm thinking, oh, they might win. But no, they're probably not going to beat the Chargers. It's always possible. But I will say the Chargers look different this year. I mean, they lost Najee Harris today, who actually, like, Najee Harris didn't look too awful this year. But something different about the Chargers. Like, they would lose a lot of these games, but the Chargers lately have been winning a lot of these games that in the past they always seem to lose. Like, even today, it looked like Denver made the comeback, and it looked like Denver was going to win the game. But the Chargers, they won this in the last second on a walk-off field goal. So things like that have been happening positively for the Chargers. And I feel like I'm not sure how the Giants are going to cover Ladd McConkey and Keenan Allen. I mean, Omarion Hampton's going to get a lot of carries. The rookie, he'll get a ton of work because of Harris injuring his Achilles. But with the way, even with Rashawn Slater out, with the way the offensive line and Justin Herbert's been playing, it's going to be tough. They have no Khalil Mack, so they're missing a key defender there, but they're just very well coached. They have a really good roster, and with the way Herbert's playing, I think the Giants have a better chance of beating the Chargers next week than they did winning tonight, because once again, I couldn't see Andy Reid and Mahomes going 0-3, but I can see a West Coast team coming to the East Coast, being 3-0, feeling themselves, and coming over here and just choking a game away. I could see it happening. It's not impossible, but it's still unlikely. The Giants are 5.5-point underdogs at home right now, as I see on PFF. So we'll see what happens on Sunday, but I'm expecting the Chargers to win. I don't know how ugly it's going to be, but I could see it being like a really bad, like 27-10 type of game. It could get like that, but if the Chargers come in unprepared, and we'll probably know early what's going to happen, like if they come out the first couple drives and look sluggish and don't look well prepared, we'll know right away. But with Jim Harbaugh being the coach, I don't really expect that. I think the Chargers will come out and win the game, as I said, like 24-10, 27-10. We don't even know who the quarterback is. That can definitely change things. Like if it is Jackson Dart, I think the Giants will have more energy and probably keep that game closer. But I feel like either way, I would pick the Chargers to win that game. So essentially, if the Giants can't beat the Saints on the road, which the Saints looked really bad today, but it was their first road game, but in the 2 games at home, at least, the Saints look like a competent team. But in that Week 5 game, the Giants are at the Saints. So I'm not going to say it's an automatic win, but the Giants should win that game. But if the Giants lose that game against the Saints, I mean, we're looking at like an 0-9 start possibly. It's going to get pretty freaking ugly here. So you have to hope to get a win against the Chargers at 3-0. Who, once again, they could be overlooking the Giants, and West Coast team coming here, 1 o'clock game, you never know, but I still don't see it. But if you don't beat the Saints in Week 5, it's going to get really ugly here. So we'll see if Jackson Dart is named the starter. I don't think Daboll's fired. I'd be very, very shocked if that was the case. I'm going to try and make a prediction now about Jackson Dart, just to have some fun with it. I think I lean no. I'm going to say 70-30. I'm going to say Russell Wilson remains the starter, because I think they just have a plan. Like that's just, they're going to stick to their plan. I know Russell Wilson looked very bad at times, but they want to stick to this plan, and I'm just going to say that they keep Russell Wilson as the starter. I'm not saying I agree, because I myself would want to be patient, but at the same time, this offense looks really bad. You don't want the entire season to slip away. So if it were me, I probably would put Jackson Dart out there next week. But if they don't do it, I'm not going to be like enraged about it. I'm not going to be like, oh my God, they're so stupid. Like, no, the Giants probably have a plan in place and they want to stick to it. I get it. Being a rational person, I get it. But if it were me and it was my job on the line, like, I would want to play Jackson Dart. And maybe Brian Daboll feels the same way. So, I mean, I'm not saying he has the final say. It might be a Joe Schoen or John Mara decision. I don't know. But I'm just saying, if I were Brian Daboll, I would want Jackson Dart out there. But we'll see. But I will predict that Russell Wilson starts against the Chargers next week, and we'll take it from there. So we'll see what happens, but another disappointing one. Chiefs are a good team. I know their offense isn't what it was, but it's still a good team. And the Giants, I guess, competed for the most part, but by the late fourth quarter, or I guess middle fourth quarter, we knew it was over. Anyway, if you stayed to the end, appreciate it as always. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will talk to you guys next time.